Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. Hello again. What's going on? What are you guys doing? It's been a while. It's been a while since yesterday's video. What have you guys been doing since then? I never know what you're doing back there, back on the other side of the internet. You get to see what I'm doing in here, but what are you guys doing? Anyways, in this video, we got to talk about how got a nice little $200 key pickup at my LCS. A very, very cool book that's, when I saw the price, I thought to myself, that can't be real. That can't be it. But I was wrong. It actually was the price. So in this video, I want to talk about this key that I picked up for myself. Talked about how I'm very, very excited to add it to the collection. A great, great book. But more importantly, talk about how, I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to feel like LCSs are starting to get back on the hunting menu. So in this video, I want to talk about that. Talk about how I think LCSs are starting to finally come in line with prices and what that means for the future of our comic collecting journey in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. But before I get into it, if you guys could drop me a like, comment, subscribe, I would appreciate it. Help support the channel. This is not the book that I picked up for myself, but this is a book that you can pick up for yourself. Not at your LCS, but on SwaggleHaasComics.com, Sanity issue number 1. But let us get into this video here today. Now, I was going around town the other day, this past weekend actually, and I was popping into a few different LCSs, and I happened to go to one that is right near me, and they got a fresh batch of comic book inventory in, one of which was this book that I ended up picking up for myself. And when I saw the price, I was really surprised because I've been so conditioned to going into LCSs and seeing comic book prices being, 2x what they normally are, or at least being sold at the, basically the 2021 top, or, particularly the wall books, whenever we see a wall book in there. But this new batch of books was actually reasonably priced. And I felt to myself, hey, don't think I've ever owned this book. And this is a really, really great key that I decided to pick up. For the low, low price of $200, I was able to find an Iron Fist number 14, first appearance of Sabretooth. There you can see it right there, guys. $200, a beautiful copy. Now, they had this one marked as a mid-grade in the store. But when I looked at it, when I inspected it, I realized that, there's a bunch of pressable defects on it. And if I'm being conservative after a nice little clean and press, I think this is definitely an 8.0. I mean, could be even better depending on how good of a press it gets. Only a couple spine ticks on this. Other than that, no real big color breaks, just a lot of, finger bends and things like that. It does have the overspray at the top right there. And you can actually see on the overspray how there is kind of a pressable bend right up there. But a really, really cool book, and one that I think, depending on the grade with this one, can be still overvalued right now in the market. But I think that there's still a lot of people that want to get their hands on this book because of the fact that it is Sabretooth. I mean, a lot of people are excited about the X-Men properties, and Sabretooth is a book that I think is, goes with Wolverine like peanut butter and jelly. And for that reason, of all the villain characters, I feel like Sabretooth is one that, even though it is a Bronze Age book, even though there is a decent amount of copies out there, can still sort of hold its floor value, much like Thanos, a beloved villain character that, yes, there is corrections for, his book, but at the same time, people still really, really enjoy Thanos. He is an A-tier villain. Man, look at this, guys. I just had to open this up for you guys. Am I giving you guys anxiety by holding the book? I mean, come on, guys. Look at this. First Sabretooth panel right there. I love it when not only do you see the first panel of the character, but it also says Sabretooth in their first panel. A classic example of a perfect first appearance. But yeah, really, really nice cover gloss. Only a couple spine ticks. Again, it does have the overspray on the back right there. Maybe that can get lightened up a little bit. It's not color touch, but a really nice copy. And for the price of $200, I thought that I had to have it. Because at the very minimum, it's going to be probably like I said, like maybe an 8.0 or something like that, which right now, fair market value for the 8.0 is around the $400 price point, give or take. Maybe there's still some pullbacks. We've talked about values here on the channel and the corrections that could come. But, going back to the 2019-2020 price, I think that is still pretty much in line. I mean, that has always been a desirable book in the market for, the X-Men properties and all that stuff. There's such a history of people liking Sabretooth with all the Wolverine fans out there. And it's really, really exciting, actually, the Wolverine character. Because if you think about it, we got Wolverine in the Fox X-Men films, but we didn't get the relationship that we know Wolverine and Sabretooth to have. I mean, we kind of got it, but not really. So there is a lot of interesting stuff that is different that the MCU can do with Wolverine and Sabretooth that they didn't do in the Fox films. But let's kind of shift gears here and talk a little more about, what I think is better value to you guys. I mean, we can celebrate my finding of a nice Sabretooth book, but I really want to talk a little bit about, the LCSs and the hunts being back on. Because once again, like I said, I'm starting to notice LCSs start to come back in line. And this is very, very exciting because, let's rewind the clock a little bit. I remember back in 2020, when I was first, I hadn't even started my YouTube channel yet. And, I had a YouTube channel, but you know what I mean? It wasn't this. And I was going to a lot of comic book stores. This was right after COVID, right when things started to open up. And right as prices were starting to, heat up in the market. And I remember going to LCSs and just absolutely killing it. Like, I just remember going out there and seeing all these keys, being able to hunt books and know that it's like, man, like this comic book right now sells for 2x, 3x of what it sells for on eBay. And I could buy this right now and flip it, later this afternoon and, make 2x my money. Like, that's how it was. It was really good times. And I felt like LCSs were very, very much behind the curve on what is going on in the comic book market. In fact, I mean, I don't mean to like pat ourselves on the back or pat me on the back or whatever, but I feel like if you're somebody out there who's a comic book collector who consumes YouTube comic book content, I mean, you're probably in like the top 10% when it comes to like hardcore collectors who are like staying on top of the market and things like that. I mean, because I feel like most collectors are not on top of this stuff. With all due respect to like comic book collecting Reddit, which I read quite frequently and I'm a fan of that Reddit page. But when I look at some of the social media posts and stuff like that, it feels like, people on that social media site are not as hardcore and on top of the market as you would think. So going back to the LCSs, it felt like, that LCS crowd was always behind the 8 ball, very much more than what you would see is currently going on with auctions online. eBay is obviously like whatever's happening on eBay seems to be probably, the most on the pulse of what is actually going on. And it took a while for the LCSs to catch up. Even when comic book boom was happening, even when COVID prices were going up, I still remember going into LCSs in like March and April of 2021, and they still didn't realize that all those WandaVision books were, 3xing overnight. So it was a very, very interesting time. And it was only after that LCSs started to realize that, oh man, we have to like redo all our pricing. And that's where you had all these things with we're repricing at the counter and LCSs had to do all those things that everybody was complaining about because they were so behind the 8 ball that it was funny where it's like now they started to want to charge peak prices, but already the market was, self-correcting a little bit. And I think that, people have been talking about how like their LCSs have those 2021 prices and things like that. But I think now we're at a point that enough inventory has cycled through LCSs. Now they're getting fresh collections in. A lot of people have to move their collections. They're going to LCSs and they're doing the repricing. Everybody is now in this habit of doing the repricing. And LCSs are even slower to reprice than even that of comic book dealers because comic book dealers are constantly going to shows and they have to stay on top of it. Whereas in LCS, it's like they're just there. So, they get a collection in, they put it up, and then it just sits in their glass case for however many months until somebody buys it. So I think now they're finally starting to reprice. Now they're starting to really, re-see what's going on in the market. And to me, hunting is back on the menu for a lot of these LCSs. And again, I don't think the LCSs care, because if I'm going to refer as far as like getting top dollar anymore, if I'm going to refer to my whiteboard video, with the whiteboard video, I think LCS owners by and large are in the businessman jaded phase of their comic collecting journey. So, they just need to get this inventory out. They probably just don't really even care. So I think this is a really exciting time, moving ahead, looking into the next 6 months to 12 months to 18 months of what LCSs are going to offer out there. I think that there's going to be a ton of really good hunting and buying opportunities once again at LCSs, maybe even better than what you can get online, and maybe even better than what you might even get at comic book shows. Because I think, again, they're going to be getting these fresh collections. They're going to be repricing a lot of this inventory. And sooner or later, when the market turns around and things starts to heat up again, they're going to be in a position where, again, it's like, turning the Titanic. They're too slow to pivot to market corrections and market changes. And, you can go out there and pick all their first appearance of Dazzler books right now, that they have completely marked under FMV. So a very, very exciting time. I think that the end of 2023 and into 2024 is going to be a good time to go back into your LCS. And, the hunting is going to be back on the menu like it was for me. Quick video today, just showing you guys my new copy of Iron Fist, number 14. First appearance of Sabretooth, a really cool Bronze Age book. This is one that, although, if I put it on the swag scale, it might be in the speculative range. I think it's in the lower risk range. It's probably in the speculative range. I'd have to actually crunch the numbers. But I think Sabretooth is a great character, one that has historical demand, which I put a lot of value in historical demand, and I'm really happy to add it to the PC. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. That was me showing off my book. What do you guys think about this idea of LCSs being back on the menu? Of course, like, comment, subscribe. See you all in the next video.